Hi everybody, welcome back to Orchids Candidly. Today's video is all about Big Leaf Orchids and my most recent winter haul from them. So if you follow me on Instagram, which if you don't, go ahead, follow me at Orchids Candidly, and you might have seen a snippet of about 9 of the 14 plants that are here. And someone asked, or a couple of people actually asked, about seeing a bit more of the plants, and someone asked specifically about the ordering experience of Big Leaf Orchids and Peter Lin. So what I will say is my experience has always been positive. The orchids are healthy. Sometimes I get like some leaf dieback, but I feel like that's an adjustment to your environment as well as from being shipped. And if you made the decision to repot, then maybe that as well. And I think of Peter Lin like I think of Fred Clark. So, when I think of Fred Clark, I think of like an amazing hybridizing program for the Catasetni type orchids. And I feel like for Peter Lin, I think of really amazing, innovative hybrids in the species fowl, primary hybrids, or even complex hybrids market. So I really, really like Peter Lin. And this is what my orchids came and looked like. They're in a box with styrofoam peanuts, a newspaper, etc., etc. Peter is the only one that I've seen with like this plastic wrap around the plant. It has an open bottom, so if you wanted to water while it's still in here, you could. But it just comes right off. It's like butter, like a hot knife through butter. And it slides off from the top as well. And then it has like some cotton in it. And thankfully, it doesn't get everywhere. Like you just pull it off. Oh, so fluffy. Oh, the flower spike. So I don't know. All in all, I really have very positive experiences with him. I love that he combined shipping between the eBay store as well as his website. Like the 14 orchids that I got are a combination of eBay orders as well as the website orders. The prices are fairly similar. Sometimes they have like bidding, and on the website there's no such thing as bidding. You're paying what you're paying, but the orchids aren't the same, if that makes sense. So one of the orchids I've seen on his eBay store costs exactly the same on eBay as it does on his website, and I appreciate that. There are also the orchids that have like bidding on them where I don't see those orchids on his website. And so there are two different stores, and I like that it's not just somebody trying to make more of a profit by taking advantage of the bidding process on eBay. So I really appreciate that. Now, I think that's pretty much gonna wrap up the ordering from Peter Lin part of the video. I am going to go get a glass of water and come back with the haul. All right, so hold on one second. We'll be right back. All right, so I have unwrapped the plants, and I'm trying to figure out what's the best way to streamline this video so that it's not 10 minutes talking about the names of plants. So I think what I'm going to do is separate the plants into any that are duplicates so that we can talk about them quite quickly. And I'll talk about the one plant that arrived that had some issues and is in an even further quarantine than the rest of them. So give me a couple seconds and we'll be right back with organized plants. All right, so this is the part of the order that I ordered 2 plants from, with the exception of this beauty here in flower. So for this orchid, it is a duplicate from my collection, but not a duplicate in the purchase. I already have a foul Pylos eagle, and I purchased another one because this one was in flower, and they are not like the complex or the mainstream Phalaenopsis where all of the plant with that name will look the same. They're siblings, and so they're not necessarily going to look exactly the same. So even though it's the same plant, or rather they share the same parents, they might look completely different. So I wanted to grab another one just in case. I also picked up 2 of the Phalaenopsis Gigabel, which one of them, this one, is actually in spike, thankfully. I picked up 2 of these because I feel like the flowers look so beautiful, and for similar reasons, they are they might not necessarily look exactly the same. I've seen very different pictures of the Gigabelle, but I just felt like it was so beautiful, so I just picked up, or I felt like the pictures were so beautiful that I picked up 2 for very much the same reason why I have 2 of the Pylos Eagle, just in case they're different. And I want to see how different they are and still capitalize on both of their beauty. Excuse me. Next, we have 2 of the Foul Pylos Novelty. I picked this up because they're supposed to be art shade, and it's got the Mitsu King Bellina by Brother Ambo Passion. And so I'm hoping for something with maybe some really deep, vivid reds or magentas. I don't know. I'm just hoping for really beautiful plants, and so I picked up 2 for the same reason that there are 2 of any of them. So, all right, and then the last one that I have 2 of is the Bellina. This is the Foul Bellina. This is Blue White Petals by Bellina Joy. And so, again, for the same reason, I really like Bellinas. I like Violaceas. And so I just picked up 2 of them. Just because. Alright, so then the next 6 plants that I picked up the Foul Sweet Memory, which in trade is called the Leodoro. I picked this up because I've heard a lot about this orchid, and I just wanted one for myself. It was the most expensive orchid in my entire purchase, but I'm hopeful that, you know, one, it already has a flower spike, but I'm just hopeful that it feels worth it after I smell the fragrance and see the flowers. So I picked this up, and it's actually more expensive because I believe it is a clone. So we also picked up a Sweet Memory Joy Alba by Mitsu King Bellina, and so I'm hoping this one also has a very pretty color. Just very excited for it all together. This one is called the Foul Pylos Joey, and I do not remember what it looks like, but can we take a look at the roots? Wow, those are some really big roots. And I'm happy to see that it is putting down these roots, great green root tips. Just very excited about it. It has a fairly big leaf span, taking a look at it, so I am excited about that one. This one is the Foul, oh, you can't see it. The Foul Pylos Emily. This is Emily Grimball by Pylos Joyful Pride. So again, I think most of these are hopefully art shade orchids. This lady over here is the Foul KS Happy Candy Colorful. This is the KS Green Plum by KS Happy Eagle. I actually have the KS Happy Eagle. I got that one from Hauserman. I'm not sure what the Green Plum looks like, but I believe from the picture that it's supposed to look like, I don't know, just a really pretty orchid. I feel like I'm very superficial about purchasing orchids. Now this baby here that is losing some leaves, which happens, she's also putting out a new leaf, is the Foul Violacea Indigo by Sib. And so this is a species orchid, and I love Violaceas. I love the fragrance. One of my favorite orchids is the Foul Samira, which I believe is a Bellina and a Violacea. And so the fragrance on that is amazing. I have a couple Bellinas, and I don't think I had any, I could be wrong, but I don't think I had any just Violaceas. And so I'm excited for this, and I'm very hopeful for a beautiful deep purple, and maybe even, yeah, maybe it might look a little bit Cerealia, but I'm hoping for a really deep purple orchid here with a beautiful fragrance. And so these are this is the bulk of the haul. And so I have one more orchid to show you guys, and we'll talk about orchids that arrive with pests from nurseries. All right, so this is the last orchid. This is the Foul Xingming Lavender, or Xingmin Lavender. And this orchid, when I purchased it, I always try to check my orchids when they first arrive, but also try to keep an eye out on them and check them, especially at night, because that's when a lot of the pests like to surface, such as snails. And so on my night inspection for this orchid, I actually did encounter 2 mealybugs and a snail on the plant. Now, this is not anything to put down Big Leaf Orchids, because I will still purchase from them. I'm only saying that regardless of where you are purchasing your orchids from, you have to be diligent in making sure that you're inspecting your orchids, and especially before you introduce an orchid into the rest of your grow space. And so now, what does treatment look like for this plant? After these roots kind of dry out a little bit, like as you can see, the moss is still quite damp, and so I'm not going to do anything just yet other than keeping an eye out for it and killing anything that I see on site. But I really just wanted to showcase that quarantining your orchids is very important, because at the time that I got this orchid, I didn't see anything. I didn't see anything under the leaves. I didn't see anything on the new growth, or on the new leaf. And as you can see, it's beautiful, and a lot of pests like to target new growth as well as flower spikes. And so while that flower spike, that bud is blasting, I still didn't see anything, and that's because pests hide. So what I always do, regardless of the nursery, is just let them know like what plants I noticed anything on, so that that's something that they can maybe retreat or see if there's anything more going on with it. But I recommend quarantining your plants regardless of who and where and why you got them, because, you know, something that I didn't notice might have caused me to put this with the rest of my collection, and instead of having one plant that is further quarantined from the other 13 in the order, I might end up treating 14 plants as well as the rest of my collection, you know, had I not been diligent enough to quarantine them just from jump. So, and that's actually not the first time that an orchid has arrived to me with mealybugs. I just feel like, you know, these are our plants. You know, these are their final home for the most part, and we want them to survive. We don't want anything attacking them. And I think one way to be preventative about it is to be proactive and to make sure that you are quarantining your plants. And that is the last bit of information that I have for this order. Peter's actually really amazing. When I told him about it, he told me he was willing to take back whatever orchids had trouble. And the only time I would send back an orchid with, like, you know, mealybugs or snails is if the entire plant is covered. Because if it's one or two, then maybe the treatment that they gave just missed that one. And if I see in a month that I'm still fighting mealybugs, then it's a bigger infestation than I think I could handle. But one or two every now and then. Like, I had another plant that had one, and I haven't seen a mealybug on that plant since. And so, you know, things happen, and sometimes it's from transfer. And so be careful about how your orchids are being kept. Is everything touching? Because if so, then it's like just a bridge to cross over to the next plant. And so you don't want to have to chase 14 plants worth of pests and infestations. And so I just say quarantine your plants from the beginning. And if you notice anything on one of the plants, which it might be too late at that point for the rest of them, but if you notice something on a plant, then further quarantine that one from the other. So if you're noticing chewed up root tips, if you're noticing that the new growth looks chewed on, like perhaps that's one that needs to be further quarantined, because clearly something is going on with it. So, all right, that is it for this haul. I fully recommend Big Leaf Orchids and Peter Lin. I fully support and really appreciate their contributions to the orchid hobby. So thank you for staying tuned. This is a very long video. And I'm going to drink a lot of water after. My voice is cracking. All right, so I will catch you all in the next video. Bye.